while standing by. At this time, all participant lines are open. Please your line when not speaking. If you have a mute facility, you may press *6 to mute and *6 to unmute. This is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this point. Turn the meeting over to your host, Claude John. You may begin.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the Check Change Control training webinar. You're with Claude. I'm the program coordinator here for the Health Strategies Department, American Heart Association. I figured what we can do to get started is everyone just introduce themselves so we know who's on the line.
This is Jessica Moyes. I'm here with Claude with the American Heart Association. Welcome.
Good afternoon. This is Annie Thornhill. I'm also here with the American Heart Association. Thanks for letting me listen in.
This is Jessica Whitman Walker, and we have a few of our nurses here and a few more that are on their way.
Great. So if you want, we can actually, would you like to wait a little bit until the rest arrive, or do you want to get started?
2 more minutes, so we can have a couple more people, and then we can go ahead and start.
Yeah, no, let us know when you're ready.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'll go ahead and start.
All right, perfect. Okay. So, get started. So, check control. What is it exactly? Just to provide some background information, it is our patient-based platform that really utilizes our tracker to empower patients to take their health through blood pressure management. The program uses features such as remote monitoring, mentoring, cooking recipes to essentially provide a guide for its users to really take control of their numbers. The program doesn't have an end date. We do encourage our users to really stay engaged and continuously use the tracker for about 4 months, because that's when we really start to see these healthy habits form. So to provide, again, some background information on the program, it was founded by its previous predecessor, Check It, Change It, which was a pilot program that has seen successful evidence-based practices through these monitoring practices that actually created change. So Check Change Control, besides the catchy title. It stands for the 3 important aspects to managing high blood pressure. So checking for high blood pressure, changing lifestyles, and changing lifestyles and seeking treatment, and again, controlling your numbers. Here basically shows the life cycle, of how it's implemented. So actually a member of our health strategy team or community impact team, so again, you're on the line with myself and Jessica and Anthony with webinars such as this, with our community outlets, clinics, wellness centers, corporate organizations, and through these partnerships, we establish our participants to recruit through health and wellness fairs, or often soft launches. Again, in order for for us to gain access to our participants, to use our free program offering recourse to control of your numbers, and again, finally, being able to pull HIPAA-compliant aggregate data sets that provide a beautiful picture as to what your organization looks like both the program or at the start of the program and after or within the program as well. So again, we are always able to pull that report for you so you can see how the health of your organization is changing while individuals are using these programs. The work. As mentioned before, it's through its predecessor, Check It, Change It. We've already seen successful evidence-based practices through monitoring practices. And so again, people actually were we were able to see actual individuals creating change through this idea of empowering its members to really take control of their health, but again, educating them and guiding its users on how to track healthy lifestyles, essentially. Here again, and it's been updated since, but just to provide a little bit of an overview, since August of 2012 to June 30th of 2017, we've enrolled more than 71,000 individuals and have recorded over 280,000 blood pressure readings. Okay, so now while it doesn't take much to get the program running, that it best works when we recruit designated staff members to champion the program. So what does that look like? A champion will basically sit on a webinar such as this again, speak to our community impact team members, speak to our health strategy team members to really create a launch date. So essentially, whenever you're looking at launching the program in your organization. And we can usually help out with that too. It can be done through a discussion. And again, we hope these webinars to help individuals navigate through the program, kind of walk them through the ins and outs again of Check, Change, Control. And basically, we again rely heavily on our champions to reach our audience and create the buzz around the program to again help its launch kick off. So before I get started, and before I kind of demonstrate exactly how the program works, I wanted to go over some major takeaways for do's and don'ts of the program. So again, those who do not have these slides, I'll be sure to send a follow-up email after to send you a bunch of those slides, as well as implementation guides and some fun information again to help you get started with that process. The main takeaways I think that are important are to again understanding what these numbers mean and how participants essentially make those informed decisions. But as champions and volunteers, I think it's important to never make medical diagnosis if you are not a clinician seeking patients. And so again, some more do's and don'ts are on this next slide here that I'll make sure that everyone gets access to after this presentation. The moment we've all been waiting for, I will share my screen and get started on exactly how this process looks. Let me actually walk you through the sign-in process. So essentially, you're kind of walking yourself through the sign-in process, what it's going to look like. For participants, you're going to see here, they're going to start by entering that campaign code. So again, the campaign code that we would create for Whitman Walker. We would then create the username and email, password, confirm the password, their full name, birth year, gender, phone number, ethnicity, and zip code. So again, a lot of the times we individuals who are a little bit who don't want to really share their email or their phone number, while you need it to get started with the program, we'll walk you through how to essentially remove those feeds for notifications through phone and email should an individual want to do that. So that's another way of being able to kind of help people still sign up for the program and then meet their needs as far as whether or not they want to get those reminders. So as a participant, when you sign in, you first get to this dashboard here. And so again, it kind of provides that quick snapshot, again, of those monthly blood pressure readings, pretty much all the different tabs here that we have access to. This next tab here, blood pressure, again, it's going to showcase all the different readings that you've been getting throughout the time that you've been entering them in. And it provides that nice line graph chart as well as what numbers mean through the shading with the new blood pressure guidelines. So you can see we have normal, elevated, hypertensive stage 1, 2, and hypertensive crisis. So again, it's a great opportunity to kind of add those readings in and really get an idea of what your numbers mean, how it relates to you, as well as being able to track them on a consistent basis and having a beautiful hub where you're able to pull this information. You know, search for volunteers and providers. So again, while an individual might use the campaign code to register under your organization, it doesn't mean that you'll actually be able to see numbers. And so by doing that, an individual can come in, search for who their nurse or clinician is, search for them, and then join their network essentially to fall under their dashboard. So then that individual will be able to see their data and their information as well as their numbers and things like that. My volunteers and providers, again, they'll be able to see the participant base who they fall under. So if I ended up doing a search for someone, I could do the search and fall under them, and then essentially that's where I would see all the volunteers and providers I fall under. So again, there's plenty of ways to really get involved with the program. So you can just hear this is a great feature that the tool has to offer, and you can get a lot. So if an individual signs up using the campaign code but doesn't fall under any of the clinicians, so anyone under your staff essentially, then they would get generic messaging such as eating healthy, dieting, how to maintain weight, how to exercise properly, like that. Those generic messages will always come here. But the great thing is that if they end up logging in under one of the individuals who will be volunteering or championing the program, then that champion can essentially create and craft messaging designed specifically for that group cohort. So you can always say things like, hey, there's going to be an event coming up here on healthy eating, join us, and things like that. So again, you'll be able to craft the messaging, tailor that more so toward whatever your organization is working on through this implementation process. But again, if you still want to get access to those numbers but don't want to see what pay numbers are being provided under that dashboard, then they can always just opt to not share their information with you as well. Here is known as alerts, and so alerts would be any type of blood pressure reading that might be alarming might show up. So again, if there was an alert and the blood pressure reading was 180 over 80 or something like that, and the program saw it as this needs to be worked, this is an alert that needs to be monitored, then it would pop up here. And so again, this is a great opportunity for when you do have those outliers. And so if you start to see that the blood pressure units that you're constantly putting in are kind of swirling around that elevated or hypertensive stage, then it might mean that, all right, well, there might be opportunity for you to either create those lifestyle changes or seek other help in order to kind of, again, maintain that number back to that ideal blood pressure unit. Our next tab here is known as the profile. So again, with our profile, it's actually all the information you used to log in or create that page. So as you can see, again, name, username, email, birth year, gender, phone number, ethnicity, zip code, city, state. So again, the information that you kind of needed just to get the program just started. And as usual, you can always go in and update the profile and change that. So this is the main thing that I was talking about earlier, our reminders tab. So you can an individual can really set reminders as frequent or as infrequent as they want it to be. So for individuals who are giving you issues as far as they don't want to get text, they don't want to get those email reminders, you can always go here once they've set up their account, go to the reminders tab, and under enable, just click no for emails, no for text messages, and they won't be reminded through those outlets.
I'm going to chime in real quick. One thing I do want to say that when Claude had mentioned before about the information that goes out, the information that goes out to the participants as far as those healthy news, whether it's from the affiliate or if it is something that one of the nurses is going to send out. By enabling the email, so making sure that stays yes, they'll be actually sent that messaging directly to their email versus the individual or the patient having to go and log into the dashboard and access that message. So therefore, it'll just be automatically routed directly to their personal email. So it'll be a lot easier for them just to click on the email about an upcoming event or the general health messaging, whether it's around nutrition or whatever other health topic, versus remembering to always have to log into the system to check their email.
And again, so in addition to that, as you can see here, you can always set up a reminder for whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or every other day, or maybe you want to get on a Tuesday and a Friday at 7:30 or things like that. These are always opportunities for you to really set those reminders again to get those notifications. This next tab is one of my favorites. Again, it's resources. So again, providing a lot of information as to what those numbers mean, how to eat healthy, working out, blood pressure with medication, if that was a step that an individual thought that it was needed as lifestyle changes aren't working, things like that. Understanding again what those words mean, systolic, diastolic, tips for measuring your blood pressure accurately, sitting up straight, not smoking, not drinking, things like that. So again, there's tons of information on here, really at the fingertips of any individual who signs up for this program, that they're able to use again to make those informed decisions, to make healthy lifestyle changes, to ultimately get them on that track to controlling their numbers and understanding what those numbers mean. And then now we're here at this health tab. So again, kind of self-explanatory tab, but should you run into any issues with the program or anything like that, you're always able to send a message there so that our IPs can end up trying to rectify any issues that we might face with the platform. And then signing out. So again, being able to sign out from the program. Yeah. So now I wanted to walk a little bit through what the volunteer logging into a volunteer would look like. So essentially, everyone on this call is going to create an account and be a volunteer for any one of your patients or clients that you see. And so the main thing here that you can see the difference as far as what you need to do in order to fill up for a volunteer is there's no campaign code. So a volunteer will not need a campaign code and will always be able to link you with that campaign code essentially. But as far as creating your profile, you will not need one. So the dashboard is going to look a little bit different for our volunteers. Again, they'll be able to see all the participants that are under them. You'll be able to see those readings again. So that's a little screenshot of what that looks like. And again, should a volunteer give you access to permissions to see their information as far as the blood pressure readings and things like that, then this is what it's going to look like. They're going to get the participant name, email, their last reading, exactly what their reading was. And then again, the great thing here is you can always send messages to that individual too. So crafting messaging that individuals make informed decisions on what those numbers mean and how to move forward from there. And so again, as usual, Jessica, myself, Annie, we're always here to help out, and so always willing to provide you with any information you're going to need. Again, we'll provide you with the pages as far as where you can get those implementations, provide you with these slides, but with an email or a phone call away should you ever need anything, and to really help jumpstart the process. And so now I leave the floor open for any questions and
my question.
This recording, I didn't catch it. Is it through app or is it through computer? Like how will patients access?
Or a website, web-based tool.
a It is a website. There is no app, but it is mobile friendly.
I missed this, but was it patients are able to upload their own blood pressures, right?
I'm going a little in and out there. Can you repeat the question?
Patients are uploading their own blood pressure reading.
Yes, and so again, a patient can kind of go, and if they opted for the text reminders or the email reminders, then you can actually just text the number back saying, hey, saying BP reading 120/80, and it will save that data onto the online platform. So it can be done that way, or via email, or you can always log into your actual account online and enter your blood pressure readings that way.
I think those are all of our questions for now.
Are you still on the line?
Yeah.
Just curious if there was anything else, since we have some time, if you have anything else that you wanted, that you felt that maybe we forgot to say, or if there is anything else additional that you feel would be useful for Whitman Walker.
No, I think that was a great overview of how the program works. I mean, I think that it'd be great to hear from the team on the ground, or maybe this is going to happen at a later date, about how you feel like you could roll this out with your patients, or how you feel like this would, how you would recommend we move forward with next steps to get this in front of folks and give them the tools they need to manage their own blood pressure with your careful guidance. So, mostly I'm curious to hear what you guys think around how this might roll out, but we continue that as we go.
Continue as we go on that one.
I might have missed something at the beginning, but can you tell us what the normal or some examples of the settings that you're seeing this used in, and like who normally serves as the quote unquote like volunteers or coaches?
So you said what were some of the normal groups, organizations that run like the Check Change Control program? Was that the question? Actually, various. So employers, it can be community-based, and also definitely clinics. Like for example, Claude just did a training for Black Nurses Rock. Black Nurses Rock they have a DC metropolitan chapter. Obviously, it's a group of nurses, and they're actually going to they're going to be implementing the Check Change Control program in partnership with DC Parks and Recs for Ward 7 and 8 residents. So they'll actually be at the DC at the Parks and Rec location in those wards, and actually signing participants up. So and then and doing blood pressure screenings at that time and signing them up for the program. So that's actually something that's going to be moving fairly quickly. That's going to be started probably the next couple of weeks. But that's one example. Also, I don't know if you had anything. Also, Annie, and also just to chime on that, obviously we do have it's also really utilized in a corporate wellness setting. So if an organization or a company has already has like an occupational nurse or something to that effect, or even if they don't have a nurse, they might just have an area where they might have a blood pressure monitor that's available to employees. This is something else that is utilized in that sense. We did a kickoff not that long ago at MITRE, which is located in Northern Virginia, and they're looking to do this to enroll all. I think they have about 3,000 employees within their Northern Virginia market. So they're looking to get this out there. The way they're using it, though, is they're enrolling people through, they had a health fair. That's kind of where they first launched it. But they're also sending it via email, so that's another option, too. They're sending the information, the link, the campaign code via email to all of their employees to get them to log in and to register as well. So that's another option, too. But, of course, the FaceTime with the patient, since you guys will have access to that, obviously probably would be the more ideal setting.
Jessica, this is Annie. The only thing I would add to that, just to kind of put it in scope of the reach of this program is used nationwide with many thousands of people, reaching many thousands of people. Our goal right here in our region, from Baltimore down to Augusta, Georgia, is to reach 30,000 people. And we look at this as a clinical resource, but also a community resource and an employer resource. So, Jessica, you covered it perfectly and gave a great sampling of things happening right there in your neck of the woods. But churches, workplaces, clinics, we try to set the program up to be flexible enough that it can really be applied in many different settings, because so far we have identified a place where there are no people with hypertension. So until we get there, we'll be looking to roll out these resources, in a variety of settings to truly meet people where they are.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annie. So if there's no other further questions, and of course, this is the end-all and be-all questions. Obviously, Claude is going to send out, he has said already that he's going to send out the link, the recording to share with any of the nurses that were not available to attend this meeting today, as well as the PowerPoint and the resource guide that we spoke about. So he'll be sending it out. Jessica, he'll just send it over to you, and you can definitely share it to everybody who needs it, and then and also the recording of today's webinar. So if there's nothing else, I'll just turn over to Claude so he can go ahead and end the webinar.
Yep, well said, Jessica. So again, I will definitely be sending out that follow-up email, and then as well as sending the downloadable content to our webinar today so that you can distribute as well. And so hopefully I will be able to give that to you all by close of business on Friday. Late, I'll have everything sent by Monday. So again, should you need any information or any help or assistance getting the program started, kicking off, you always know where to find us, and we will be in touch very soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, everybody.
Today's conference. Thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.